spreading around, and we're very pleased. The screening initiative that you have embarked on is quite impressive, that you have already screened so many people, almost 4.5 million have been screened. It's very impressive with the almost 44,000 tests here in Mpumalanga. That in itself is very, very impressive indeed. And we commend you for that. But another aspect which is very, very good and positive is that of getting the community to be accountable to one another, that each one must look after everyone, but at the same time we must be accountable by making sure that we insist on people wearing masks, and if we see somebody not wearing a mask, we must immediately say, why are you not wearing your mask? And we must also remind people on a continuous basis, armed with this accountability approach, that people must wash their hands regularly, and where surfaces must also be cleaned on a continuous basis. But I guess part of the real positive thing you are also doing is to establish coronavirus forums. This is fantastic. It's good. It's a new approach from the province of the rising sun. It's good to hear that you are also moving forward to establish coronavirus forums, because it is through establishing these forums that we will be able to inculcate the approach and the discipline of behavior change. I commend you with that type of approach, and I will be propagating it countrywide, that we should all throughout the country establish coronavirus forums where people can have discussions about coronavirus, how it is manifesting itself in our nation, and what we can do to support those who are either infected. Because we've got another problem that is really raging in our country, the intolerance that people have to those who are seen as having contracted the coronavirus disease, and the stigmatization, where people now begin to fear and avoid and not even want to be, in contact or in the same vicinity with people who are known to have either contracted it and recovered. So the stigmatization must end, because we cannot move forward with the level of intolerance that is being displayed by some within our nation. You're also focusing on hotspots, and I think that is good. We were advised by Minister Mkhize's advisory panel that as we move to lower levels through the risk-adjusted strategy, that there will be fires that will flare up, and those will be hotspots, that we need to have tools to immediately go to those hotspot areas and douse off the fire and kill the fire. I'm glad that in your strategy you've identified that you do need to have a strategy for hotspots. Your focus on the economy of our province here is quite impressive and admirable. I must commend you with that, because you are already looking at the impact that COVID-19 is having on the economy of the province, and as you look at the health aspect, you are also looking at the economic aspect, how to preserve lives. The reality that our country faces is that as we navigate our way through dealing with COVID-19, it is going to be having a devastating impact on the economy of our country. We can already see the slide. We are already in a recession. And in the next 3 months, when they count where we are, we'll find that we are in a much deeper recession. Many of our people are going to lose jobs. It's just going to be great hardship that lies ahead. Premier, I'm pleased to see that you are already coming up with plans and strategies on how to deal with the economic hardships that our people are going to face. You're already looking at various sectors of the economy here in Mpumalanga: agriculture, mining, tourism, and all those sectors of the economy are real pillars of the economy of Mpumalanga here. And I'm glad to see and to hear that you're already coming up with plans on how to engineer a recovery process. And we will seek to support you from national level, from a health perspective, also from an economic perspective. We are very pleased. I'm particularly pleased with the plans that you've put in place and you're putting in place of addressing a number of the challenges, including how you want to develop the township economy, agro-processing, irrigation, and mining, and all those other areas. I want to end with the issue that you have raised, which is a concerning issue, which is the second pandemic that our country is now facing. You have informed us that there have been 730 cases of gender-based violence reported, and this is worrying. This is worrying indeed. All of us need to stand on our feet and say there should be no place to hide, indeed, as you correctly say, for perpetrators of gender-based violence. And I'm glad that the province is taking that type of approach towards and against gender-based violence, that those who are perpetrators should have no place to hide. And as we have said before, we will be going ahead with legislation to ensure that we protect the women of our country and the children of our country against abuse, because the abuse that's happening in our country now against women and children is totally unacceptable, and we've got to stop it. We've got to stop the rapes of women, and indeed even young girls as young as 3 years old, and we've got to stop the killing of women in our country. And I'm pleased to know that this is an area of focus also in the province, even during the period of COVID-19. So, Premier, what I have heard, what Minister Kiza and other ministers have heard here today does show that the province is properly seized with this challenge of COVID-19. You are embarking on a number of strategic interventions to deal with this pandemic, and we applaud you for this. And now we would obviously be going to various centers that you would like us to go and see how best you are managing it. Lastly, I was very pleased to hear that you are using technology to good effect in all what you are doing, in managing the pandemic, in tracing those who may have come into contact with those who are infected, and also developing apps. This is very pleasing. It shows that indeed Mpumalanga is indeed the province of the rising sun. So I'm sure that all of us can look forward to seeing new things coming out of Mpumalanga as we are now. And there is a lot that other provinces can learn from Mpumalanga, because it is where the sun rises that we can always get new ways of doing things, we can always get wisdom, we can always get very good responses to whatever crisis we're facing. So, Premier, I applaud you and I thank you for the briefing. I think we will continue to manage COVID-19 properly here in Mpumalanga, even as we're seeing rises going on. And I congratulate you and I thank you, together with your MECs, the mayors who are here, and your officials. This is a good presentation, and this is good work that is being done here. So thank you very much, Premier. We thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We are quite comforted and very much pleased by the commitment that you have made that indeed, as national government, you will be giving support to the province. And we must also appreciate the support that we have received thus far from national. It is quite commendable and very helpful. And Mr. President, I think we are also pleased by the announcement that you have made just now of the promulgation of the legislation that speaks to gender-based violence. As women legislators, we want to lobby you to say that for the perpetrators who are found guilty, let us promulgate the legislation that says an eye for an eye, because it doesn't help for people to be arrested and they serve endless life sentences. At the end of the day, they still enjoy life as normal in prison. Hence, they will still continue whilst they're still behind bars to go after victims. So we would really appreciate the President to consider that. I know it's a difficult call, but drastic measures has to be taken. It's about time that we take this pandemic very serious and condemn it with the contempt it deserves. So that is our thoughts, Mr. President. The ball is in your court, but we know that you will represent us very well as women. Once again, we'd like to thank you for affording us an opportunity to engage with your good self, to share our views, to hear your views. And obviously, we will remain challenged, and we are resolute and steadfast to say that we have to deal with this pandemic, and we shall not disappoint our people and also the leadership that has bestowed us with that responsibility. Having said that, may I request that the DG gives us the announcement and indicate to us exactly where are we going to from now.
Is that Pasa?
It's Pasa.
Oh, I didn't know.
We are humbly requesting that the following groups who should join the Honorable Premier and His Excellency the President. We are requesting the ministers to be joining. We are requesting the Ministry of Education together with the HOD. We are requesting the Provincial Commissioner, the Brigadier General from the SANDF, and the Executive Mayor. These are the people that will be joining for the visit at the Cyril Club. The last part of the program, in terms of the visit to the hospital, Rock Ferreira, which will be starting at 13 hours, we are requesting the ministers to form the group. We are requesting the Provincial Advisory Committee to be part. We're also requesting the MEC of Health and the HOD of Health, the Provincial Commissioner, and the Brigadier General. Those are the announcements to try and social distancing, also just
very much, colleagues. We will come to the end of our program. There is absolutely a very significant for meeting. We will be part as advised by the GP to the respective areas. Thank you very much.